Hi class, welcome to a mini lecture on Holland's personality type theory. Let's get started. Hopefully you have had a chance to go online and take the quick and dirty version of Holland's test, the Strong Interest Inventory. It's called Personality Mosaic, I think, on Blackboard, or there's a link to a website where you can take it. If you haven't taken that yet, either stop the video and do it now or do it right after watching this video so you can understand what everything's about. So Holland's personality type theory is an awesome theory and very widely used and heavily researched. Lots and lots of research behind this. And the idea here is that Holland thought that there were probably people who were very successful in their careers and really liked their careers. In other words, they fit really well. Something about their personality was a good fit with the career they had chosen. Now, I'm sure you have known people who were, in fact, not a good fit. One time we discovered a snake in my house. I was trying to put Hannah to bed and I heard Ethan out in the hallway saying, "Snake, snake." I, of course, thought he was pranking, but when I went out there was an actual snake, pretty big. So we called animal control, and this lady showed up who was clearly terrified of snakes. Terrified. She didn't have a very good fit with her career. So that's what this idea is about, is that some people fit well with their career and some people don't. So Holland said to himself, well, if we could assess the personalities of all of the people who tend to be really good at their jobs and really like them and really are successful and thriving in them, then we could probably create some kind of a typology so that if you're, say, 20 years old and a student at community college and trying to figure out what to do with your life, you too could take a personality test. And if it matched the personality of people who were really good at and happy in a particular job, maybe that job would be good for you too. That's the idea. So when he did this, they've actually mapped out every single career that is known to man. Everything from obvious things like teachers and police officers and bank tellers to less obvious things like ticket takers and lathe operators. Okay, so there are 6 personality types that Holland describes. Now, he believed that each person probably had 2 or 3 of these types that were strongest for them. And so when you take the test, they're looking at assessing these 6 types in relation to your personality, and you're going to come up with a Holland code that is a combination of 3 of those. And so my first letter is I. Investigative is the highest one for me, and that's the strongest one, so that's my first letter. I don't remember my Holland code exactly. It's probably something like ISA, I think. So S is probably my second strongest, and A would be my third. So you will get that as well, whether you take the paper test or the online test. So let's take a look at each of these 6 and get an understanding for what these are. So the realistic type likes to work with animals, tools, and machines. They avoid activities like teaching, counseling, nursing, informing others. They, sorry, I'm just going to mute my phone. They like hands-on things. They want to build stuff. They want to work with plants or animals, see how things grow. They're practical and mechanical. Okay, so a veterinarian probably scores high on realistic. Somebody who works with machines is maybe works at Bell Helicopter or likes to work on cars, is going to be in maybe a gardener. I had a landscaper at my house yesterday. I'm guessing he's probably pretty strong on realistic. The investigative one, they like math, science. They value science. They see themselves as precise and scientific and intellectual. Now, let's be careful here because the solving science and math stuff, honestly, that doesn't sound... the math, I was always a little bit math phobic, and I became somebody who is very, very investigative by the experience of going through graduate programs in psychology. So that intellectual stuff, the scientific stuff, focusing on problems, being very analytical, this is all part of the investigative part. So a scientist, maybe a pharmacist, maybe a doctor would be investigative. The artistic person, art, drama, crafts, dance, music, creative writing. They are creative and expressive, original, independent. They don't like to work under strong direction. They like, excuse me, the freedom to come up with their own plans and ideas. They don't like detail stuff. They're not going to want to work with numbers. A bank teller is not a good job for the artistic person. The social personality likes to work with people. They want to teach. They want to do counseling, nursing. They want to give of themselves and help other people. They like to solve problems. They see themselves as somebody who is helpful and trustworthy. So teachers and nurses, any of the helping professions tend to score high on social. The enterprising personality, I want you to think of this as think of people who are in business, advertising, marketing, maybe political science, any kind of a small business owner. They are leaders. They like to work with people, but they want to work with people in order to sell and persuade. Social likes to work with people because they want to help. Enterprising wants to work with people because they want to lead and persuade. They're very energetic, very ambitious, very, very sociable. The conventional personality is more of a numbers person. They like numbers, records, machines. They like working with stuff in an orderly way. They don't like ambiguous things. They're really the opposite of the artistic person who likes ambiguity. They dislike ambiguity. They tend to be good in business. They're very orderly. They like a plan. This is reminding me of my daughter. Right now, my daughter is in her room. She finished her science work on phyla. She's working with genuses and phyla and species, and she's categorizing them. And she's continued to do that for about an hour just because she thinks it's fun. That's very her. She's going to be high on investigative and also on conventional because she's so orderly. Similarly, my son is over in his room. He's also finished his schoolwork for the day, and he is recording a song. He is recording all of the parts, so the percussion and keyboard and guitar and singing, and putting that together in a song. He's fairly high on artistic, but this is also a very linear thing. He's building this and doing it in an orderly way. He is also relatively high on conventional, so he's putting it together in an orderly way. We did the realistic one already, so I think you can see, hopefully you can start to see yourself in some of these. So again, your Holland code is going to produce 3 letters, with your first one being your highest and second one being the next. I tend to find that students in my classes, most of my lifespan students are going into the health field. A lot of people want to be registered nurses, occupational therapists, or physical therapists, and then I usually get about 2 or 3 students per semester who want to be psychologists. So I thought I would show you the Holland codes for these so you can see that social is a big part of all of these. So these are all professions where you're helping other people. But there are some differences. So this registered nurse has that investigative part and the conventional. So you're interested in the science and analysis, but you're very hands-on with the C. Okay, very, very orderly and straightforward. The psychologist one has IES, and I want to caution you that, and this is true for the nursing ones too. You realize that there are a lot of different kinds of nurses, a lot. So, I'm a psychology instructor. I'm not quite a psychologist. This is for like a person who's going to hang out a shingle and run their own business. That's why the enterprising part, the business side, is so high up there. So you've got the science for psychology, you've got the social for helping people, and the enterprising for running a business. Now, I'm not running a business, I'm teaching. So I don't know. I haven't been able to find the Holland code for a psychology professor. It would take a kind of a deep dive. So my question to you is, what if your code doesn't match your career? What if you want to be a nurse and you're not an SIC? And in a face-to-face class, I like to have a real good discussion with my students about this. Unfortunately, we can't do that here. So I'll just tell you that generally what the discussion concludes is that that's okay. Obviously, that's okay. First of all, if you want to be a nurse and you have 2 of these 3 letters, I'd say you hit it pretty well. Okay. Now, if you're the complete opposite of this, then you might want to give that a little bit of thought. Maybe this is a pause for you. Maybe this is hey, wait a second, maybe you should go and explore careers just a little bit. If you really don't fit, I think you need to talk to some nurses and find out what their everyday life is like. I generally try to advocate that students go and job shadow, but you probably can't job shadow a nurse. So you're just gonna have to talk to a bunch of them and find out what it really is. You know, another thought here is that your schooling will eventually get you closer to your careers code, most likely. So I mentioned that investigative. When I look at that description, there are some descriptions for investigative that really seem to fit me and others that don't. I'm not particularly mathematical. And when I was in high school, science was really one of the subjects I hated the most. I found it hard. I was more of a language person. I'm kind of a more of a verbal person than a math person, going back to Gardner and multiple intelligences. So I probably would have been my lowest one when I was in high school. And yet here I am, a successful and happy psychology instructor, very content with my career. And now my I is my highest one. And why would that be? Well, it's because I spent 4 years in graduate school training to be investigative. So you will spend time in college and it will probably change you. So my challenge to you is retake, keep your Holland code test that you took and retake it in 10 years and see what happened. How did you turn out? Did you keep the career you wanted right now? Has your personality changed? Has your personality shifted at all to fit your career? Thanks for watching.